Hello friends, welcome to last lesson of Unit 1, which is Lesson 7. Today we are going to talk about the case study and will use Microsoft Azure ML with a hands-on exercise. So far in this unit, which we have finished, we talked about data, stats, data interpretation. Then we did some market analysis, customer analysis, product analysis. Today, let's apply all the knowledge that we gathered in 6 lessons to apply in a case study and also do hands-on practice. So today, the learning objectives. So I'll be taking a case study where we are going to use the customer lifetime value and how we can use CLV to make decisions. The second one will do the Azure ML exercise and we'll do some descriptive analytics. So let us start. The first case study I would like to take is of IBM, which I have taken from Coursera, which I have requested you to take up this particular course, and I think one of you has already started that, and you can correlate to what I'm going to show to you. So here we are going to study in IBM long time back. What they did was they tried to allocate the sales resources. That means the sales force based on CLV. So let us have a look at that. So if you look at this chart here, they have 10 deciles. That is, they have made 10 groups here. Now these values are the CLVs. Like for example, this is group 1, or you can say company 1. Now this is a super high CLV customer for IBM. So this is their CLV, and what they have done is this is a segment rather than saying a company. So this is a segment. This is a cluster of customers who are in the super high CLV. So this is the CLV that they bring, right? So these are the CLVs. Now here they have made 2 columns. So they did the analytics and they have come up with there were no sales calls until 2004. So to this super high CLV group, so they didn't make any sales call till 2004. So, and this is the cluster from super high CLV where they have made at least 1 call. So no sales call. And so let me give you some background. IBM, for their different products, like most of the companies do, like for this enterprise software, which is their product, what they do is they try to make calls to all their customers that this is their new product, which is enterprise software, and they ask them to upgrade or purchase this new version. So this is what they do. So here there were no sales calls until 2004, at least 1 sales call before 2004. So in 2 categories they divided, they collected the data, and this is the CLV value, right? So establishments with no sales calls until 2004 total 767. Establishments with sales calls by 2004, 2,713. That means they had made calls to 2,713 establishments for this enterprise software, whereas they didn't make any calls to 767. And this is the division they have divided in super high CLV, high CLV, medium CLV, and low CLV. Now, why they are doing it? So they have to allocate or reallocate the sales force, the resources. So what they did, they saw from the low CLV, so they allocated the sales force resources. They asked the sales team, rather than making calls here, where they have been making calls, at least 1 call, they shifted all the sales force to this in the CLV category where no sales calls were made. but this customer bracket is in the super high CLV. So they shifted these resources. Rather than making calls here, they are going to make calls to the super high CLV cluster. So this is what they did using CLV. So that's the application of CLV here. So as a result, what happened? So when they reviewed this in 2005, after 1 year, they got these results. So in 2004, after they moved at Salesforce from very low CLV to the super high CLV group, they saw their total revenue to increase by 10. That means if it was X, it became 10X, 10 times it increased. So the incremental revenue attributed to new accounts targeted by Salesforce using the model that was recommended was 19.2 million. So these are the actual figures. And if we talk in terms of percentage of establishments with purchase, so the establishments who purchase the enterprise product, right, it increased by 60%. So if it was 1, it became 1.6. So that means 60% increase was there. So this is how you make use of CLV. So now if I proceed further and I want to take up this hands-on thing, if you remember I gave you this homework under lesson 3 in slide 11 on data interpretation when we were talking. So almost a week back. So I talked about the credit card defaults where we were talking that if you have to predict, that is the predictive analytics for credit card defaults. So data is provided to you, which is open source, which has been taken here. So these are the credit card details. There are around 30,000 customers here. There are 24 fields, and this data has been taken in 2005, right? So this is from Taiwan. So this is public data which you can use. So we will be using Azure ML, right? And we'll be focusing on 3 columns only, 3 fields only. One is limit balance, age, and education. So the fields which are there are limit balance, that means what is the credit limit, then gender, then education, then marital status and age. So we'll be talking about the limit balance and then education and age for this particular hands-on practice today. And then they have the 6 codes for the last 6 months, pay 1, pay 2, and so on up to pay 6. These are the 6 months data which is there. Like for the first month, what has been the bill amount and what has been the payment amount. That means how much was the payment due and how much the customer has paid. If they have defaulted, so it is default value is 1. If they have not, it is 0. So now this database is available over here. So the first thing is that you have to download this database. So from the next slide, there is a video where I'm going to demonstrate how to use Azure ML for this and how to get the details. So here we are trying to find whether there is any relationship between the limit balance and age. Similarly, anything to do with education with the limit balance. So what I'm trying to say, if the education level increases, whether the limit balance goes up. If you are in a particular age group, whether the limit balance goes up. So we would like to see from this data. And we are going to use Azure ML. So I'm going to give you a demo in the next video. But first thing you need to do is you have to download this from this source, which is from Google. You download this database, which is CSV file, comma separated values. So you download onto your hard disk, and from the next step I'm going to show you over here, right? So please go through this video just now. Dataset that we need. So we go to dataset. Once you go to dataset, then you click on new. Once you click on new, you go to from local file. So when you say local file, you say choose file, and you can pick the file which you want to download, and these are some of the files we have. So I say orders, and then in our case it is credit card, so we do that since I've already downloaded, so I'll do that. And once I've done, you can write here the name of the file that you want to download, so that you have those remarks with you. Once you have done that, then the next thing is, here you have to select like what sort of file it is. So I say this, and then you click on this, and it will take some time. It says uploading a new dataset orders. So once this is done, then you will see your files here. Like in this case, it is orders, credit card. So I have downloaded the credit card one. Then I go to experiments. So in the experiments, I say new. Once I say new, I go to the blank experiment. And once I say blank experiment, so over here, I can change the name, and I can put the name as, like, for example, I say my first experiment. After that, you go to saved datasets, and you go to my datasets. You will find this. So I say credit card, and I drag it onto this. So once I drag it over here, I can, so my database is here. So I click on this, and I say visualize. So it will take some time, and after that, what you get is this. So this credit card, it has around 30,000 records, 25 columns. This is limit balance. So we are interested in limit balance, age, and education. So if I look at limit balance, immediately it will give you the mean, the median, the minimum, the maximum standard deviation, unique values, missing values. There are no missing values, so it's very good data, and feature type and numeric feature. So, and this is the histogram which it has created for you. In this case, as the limit balance goes up, there are not many people with higher limit balance, so only this much. So around, I would say, if I take this as the limit balance, which would be around 1 lakh, say 40,000. So people there, as the limit balance goes up. So this is around 42%, right? Around 12,498 people fall in this, 7,000, and this is around 5,000, like this. So this is what you get. So if I go to education, so this is there are bachelors, masters, high school, and others. So mostly they are masters. And if I look at age, so this is the age group. So that you see over here around 21, so 17% of the people fall in this. The maximum number is around 28%. They fall in this bracket, around 26 to 32. So this is how you can see this. The next thing is, I go here, I say SQL, and I get apply SQL, I bring it here. Then this is T1, I can attach 3 tables, right? So this is T1. So what I do is I bring it to this place, and then what I do is I right click on this, I say edit, and after that I say I want to bring the data from high school. So this will be my high school data set. So you can see this. So then I bring another one here and I connect this to the first one, which is table, and I right click, right, and I say edit, and here I want to bring the master's data, for example. So once I bring that, so I get this. Now for this, I want to give this sequence, right? So I say I want two things. One is what you call age, and another is limit balance, right? From T1, and I write after this where education is equal to, within double quotes, high school. So I put this and then I say apply, then I come back here. Now similarly for this, I apply this, and again I say age, comma, limit balance, that is from T1, that's okay, where I write here education is equal to, within double quotes, masters, right? Come back here. So what I do is, after this, I run this. So I run this. It will take some time. It is running. So it is still running, as you can see the time here. It is saying running. So once it has done, so tick, tick, tick. So after that, I click on this and I say visualize. So I'm looking at the data for high school. Now for high school, out of 30,000, you get 4917, and there are two columns here, right? So if I click on age here, I get all the details, which I'll be discussing in my slide. This is for the limit balance. So you get mean, median, minimum, maximum, and this. So same way, if I want to see for master's data, so I click on this, I say visualize, and then I get, sorry, there is some mistake here. So what I do, I go back, I come here, and I look at this, and this is, I think, is masters, right? I come back and I run it again. And it is done. So let me check now. I click on this, I say visualize. It takes some time because there are 30,000 records. So now you are okay. So you have 10,585 rows. So if I click on age, I get all the details. I click on this, I get all the details. So this is how you run this, and you come back and you can save this experiment. So that is how you do this. And well, friends, what you saw was just a demo of how you can use Azure ML for your quant and visuals. So let me continue with that, and I'll be explaining that in more detail now, but that was hands-on. You should do that with your own hands, and if you find any problems, you can come back to me. So continuing with what we have done. So we are going to analyze using analytics. So single quantity, we talked about histogram, mean, standard deviation. So the mean is there and standard deviation gives you the spread. So what we are looking at is limit balance correlated to age? Is limit balance correlated to education? So what you have seen was that what we did, that we had this credit card uh, database with us. So we downloaded that into our database that is onto your hard disk. And then next thing you did was that you picked it, you dragged it over here as you had seen. And after that, what you did was then you said SQL here, and then you say apply SQL transformation. You brought it here, and then another one you brought it here. So what we are trying when we talk about education, we are trying to create two categories, two clusters. One, data which is only for the high school. Another, the data which is for the masters. So the customers with high school education level and customers with masters level education. So once you have done that, now you can attach uh, three tables to this SQL transformation, right? So this is T1, this is T2, this is T3. Similarly, T1, T2, and T3. Then you connect it to T1, again you connect it to T1. So once you have done that, the next step is that you, once you click on this, you get this on the right hand side. So this is the structured query language. What I want to do is I want to extract the data from this data set onto this one, where I just need to see two columns. One is age and one is limit balance. And I want only those records where education is equal to high school. So how I write the SQL query? It is very simple. Select age comma limit balance from T1, that is from this table where education is equal to HS, high school. So once you have done that, the next step is now for the other one, that is on the right hand side, you write the same thing where education is equal to masters. So it will fetch those details where the education level is masters. So once you have done that, as you had seen, so you get this. Then you run it. Once you run it, it will finish running, and this is tick, this is, if there are certain errors, they'll come here. If there are no errors, then I click on this small circle here and I say visualize. When I say visualize, so what I get is this graph which you saw there. Now this is the, I'm talking here when I say visualize, so we have this database. So here, this is the first one. This is the credit card. This is the whole data. So there are 30,000 rows, 25 columns. And as I said, we are interested in limit balance, education, and age. Now we are looking at the limit balance. The magic is you are not doing anything. You have given that and you get everything here already done by Azure ML for you. So for limit balance, the mean is this. The median is this. So if I say the mean is not equal to median, so that means this is not a bell curve, right? This is the minimum value, which I would say is 10,000, and this is the maximum value, which I would say is 10 lakhs. So the standard deviation is this. Unique values are 81. So there are 81 unique values. That means if you see here 50,000, 50,000, so these are repeating. So there are 81 unique values in a data of 30,000. And then this is your histogram. So when you look at this, as I said earlier, so as you move ahead with the limit balance, the higher limit balance, there are not many people which fall in that category. So most of the people are at, you can say, around 1 lakh 40,000, something of that sort. So histograms gives you the frequency versus, in this case, the variable is limit balance, single variable we are doing. So this is how when we talked about data interpretation. So this Azure ML gives you the histogram, the mean, and the standard deviation. So that is for the one quantity. So this is how we analyze. Now let us look at, is there any correlation with age of the limit balance? So when we look at age, right? So this is for the total data. So age, when we look at this, So over here in the last histogram, you saw it was asymmetric. It was like that. But if I look at this, you see the median and mean, they are not very far off. Median is 34, mean is 35 something. So this we call as a trimmed bell curve. So if I extend this to the left, if I have some more values to the left of 0, right? So it becomes a bell curve, right? So it is more symmetric. It is a normal distribution, more like a trimmed bell curve, we call it. So when we look at age, the mean is, your average age is around 35, right? And the median is 34, right? Standard deviation is 9, so plus minus 9 to mean. So as you can see over here. So out of, so that is what the total data that I have over here. Now, we would like to analyze, so the SQL queries that we gave for high school, so we just extracted the data of high school where we said we are interested to see age, limit, balance, where education is high school. So let us look at the results now. So out of 30,000, the people who have the education with high school are 4,917. And here we are looking at age. Now, the high school age, the general age for 30,000 people was around 35. Here the mean is 40. Okay, so this is with the high school data, and the median is again 40. So in a way, so this is again little bit symmetric. So standard deviation is 10, unique values are 54. When you look at this curve, so you will come to know as to the age for the high school, which is around, again I repeat, is 40. So when I look at the limit balance, so this is the limit balance. For the limit balance, the mean is this, the median is this. So if you see, this is asymmetric. This is asymmetric curve, right? And the mean and the median, they are very far off. So this is very, and here also you can see this is more like a bell curve, but this one is asymmetric. So again, you look at that. So there are 4,917 rows in this case when I talk about the limit balance for high school. Right? So now for the masters, that was for the high school. For the masters, we have around 10,585 rows. And again, here the mean is around 34. So you see, so the age here is less for the masters. And when I look at I'll look at the limit balance later. So here the median is 32, not very far. So again, more towards the bell curve, but not exactly, but a trimmed bell curve, as I said earlier. So this is the standard deviation. So this is what you get over here. Now when I look at the limit balance, so for the limit balance, asymmetric again. So this is for the masters. So these are the details. You get the mean, the median, and so on. So if I pick all the things and I summarize, and I would like to answer the effect of education level. So if I talk of high school and masters, this is what we were. So the average age for the high school is 40. The average age of the customers for masters is 34. The number of observations, the more of the customers in high school are 4,917, whereas for masters it is around 10,000, almost double. The limit balance, you can see here, it is 1,26,550. This is the average, and it is again almost double. It is 2 lakh. So there is a strong correlation. There is a strong, I would say, effect of education on the limit balance. So that is how we are using Azure ML to arrive at this. Now question is it a real effect or it is a statistical noise? So is it some data and we are not able to see the real thing? Now for that you need to go to the hypothesis. So you have to do the AB hypothesis. So, and you have to establish whether there is a strong correlation between the education level and the limit balance. So for that, we'll do that in the next unit. So today what we saw was descriptive analytics, where we were working on single quantity and we use the visuals using Azure ML. So this is how you use it. So you must use Azure ML because it's a very good tool. So that is all for Unit 1. And today we discussed the lesson 7. We did a case study where we used the customer lifetime value to make decisions. We took the example of IBM and reallocation of sales resources. Second, we used Azure ML to do the descriptive analytics today. So here is a quiz for you, a small quiz. So please take your time to answer. So what SQL query you had written for high school data? That is question number 1. So if you can write that down in your notebook, I'll appreciate that. And second is, what was the effect of education level on the limit balance? This is your second question. And the third question is, when mean is equal to median, what does that indicate? So these are the three questions. I give you some time so that you can write your answers and then you can check the answers. Well, friends, I think you have written your answers. So here are your solutions. So number 1 is select age, comma, limit balance from T1 where education is equal to within double quotes HS, that is high school. So there was a drastic effect with education limit balance, right? Because the limit balance increased manifold. When mean is equal to median, it is a bell curve. So if you have any questions, as I always say, you can write to me at gsingjmt@gmail.com. And if you want to go and do some further reading, I encourage you to do this course from Coursera, which is very good. And I took the example of IBM from there only. That was my source. Second, you can give a quiz on this marketing process, which is an online quiz, and that will help you in knowing exactly how much you have understood. So friends, that is all for Unit 1. We have finished Unit 1 where we discussed in detail data, stats, market, customer, product analysis. And we did these 7 lessons. So what I want you to do is, there are takeaways for each lesson that we discussed. These takeaways are the quants, is something that you should always remember. So what I've done is, this is not matching with the lessons. So I've just put them in random. I request you to match the columns. That means for understanding data, which is the most relevant takeaway. So I give you some time, please match this from lesson 1 to lesson 7. Pick the relevant takeaway from the right hand side. And I give you some time to do that, and then I'll show you which are the takeaways for each lesson. Well, I know you have done it, so please check. Now for understanding data, we talked about big data, which has 6 V's. So that is the big takeaway for you. For stats, we discussed about quant and visual, which you have to see together. And today also we did that in our hands-on. For data interpretation, Excel and MS Azure ML, these are the 2 tools which you should take. Market analysis, if you remember the ends of metrics, which I think you use for from penetration to diversification, where we talked about the existing and new products and existing and new markets. So that is the metrics you should always remember. For customer analysis, the STP, segmentation, targeting, and positioning, and also CLV, that is the customer lifetime value. So these are the 2 takeaways for customer analysis. For the product analysis, if you remember the Boston Consulting Group matrix, right? In that matrix, you have seen there are 4 boxes starting with the dog, then the question mark, and then you have cash cow, and then the last one is what the star box is. And today in lesson 7, your takeaway is SQL. So please master the SQL so that you can use Azure ML more. So that is all for Unit 1. From next lesson, we'll start with Unit 2. Thank you very much. Have a good time. See you soon. Bye.